Welcome back to The Person Everyone Needs. I'm your host, Webb Hoggard. Today, we are going to talk about the three words that I have brought up probably the most out of anything: identity, destiny, and legacy. And I want to talk to you about the importance of all three. I'm a lists guy. I like lists. They're helpful to me. They help me organize my thoughts around things, and I really appreciate them. I've told you about Luke 2:52. There's a list there of how Jesus grew, became greater in stature, greater in intellect, greater in relationships with man and with God. I love that. It's an easy plan to make for your life where you want to grow. John Maxwell has a book called 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That is a phenomenal list. It's a great book, and it works. I know it's a little cliche to be bringing that up, but it's cliche because it's famous, and it's famous because it worked, and it worked because John Maxwell took the time to make sure that what he was putting out wasn't just information. It was something that would change your life. But the problem with the 21 Irrefutable Laws is that's a lot. Like, how do you accomplish 21 different laws? Well, you take them one by one. So the three things that I like to talk about the most is identity, destiny, and legacy here, because here's my thought. If you take only one of the three, you're never going to accomplish very much. Because identity, like learning who you are, you could spend the rest of your days trying to find out who you are. And it's very important. But to know who you are, to focus on identity alone is going to lead you to passivity. You'll never really chase down your dreams because you'll just sit and think intellectually about the person that you are. But if you pursue destiny alone, you're going to be pretty barbaric. You're not going to have the grounding or the character that you need to endure it, and neither are you probably going to take the hill that you want because you haven't taken the time to figure out what hill it is. You're just going to try to see who you are on the regular. And if you focus on legacy alone, it might take you the furthest out of the three, but to focus on legacy alone of what you can do for others is pretty empty. You won't ever actually find out who you are. And so you kind of need all three of these working together at the same time in order to decide the destination of your life and then daily the plans and goals of your life. You need to be considering all three areas. What is your identity? Who are you? What is your destiny? What are you capable of? What can you do? And what is your legacy? Who are you leaving it to? Whose life are you going to change? It's a recipe. It's not just one thing. It's not a clear statement of one or the other. Pick your choice. This is the thing that you have to build up all three at the same time in order to find true success in life. It's a balanced meal. Nothing brings success like unity, diversity, and adversity. Okay, you need all three. You need all three of them. And I want to point this out to you, but I'm a basketball and football fan, and I love hearing about the great coaches in history. The great coaches in history, Vince Lombardi, John Wooden, those guys were phenomenal teachers. They took time every single year to explain the rules, to explain how to win, to explain strategy, to take the time to build up the actual men who were going to go out and play the games. They did a great job of doing the pre-work, the inspiration part, the information part. But I can tell you this right now. If you spend all of your days in practice, you might get better, but you won't ever know how good you are until you step out on the field in an actual game. Here's something else I know. There's some people who only want to show up for the game and they don't want to be at practice. Those people never get better. If you don't practice, if you don't work at it alone, you won't be great together. It is important that you practice, that you have that pre-work, that you have the information given to you, but also you got to bring it to the field. You can practice, you can be the best in practice, but then when you hit that field and you don't deliver, you don't show anything, then it's time to go back to practice. It's not time for another game. It's time to go back and try to learn something. And so if you're watching a ball game, let me just tell you, I watch the Washington Commanders. They're my team. And I can just tell you, there's been a breakdown in leadership recently because those guys are not prepared for the game. It is almost sure to be seen that practice has not been taken seriously by many of them because they have been horrible this year, which is not a new thing. But you look at the game plan for a lot of these guys, you look at the inspirers of some of the other coaches, you look at the players, they don't look frustrated and depleted. They look encouraged. There's some things that take place in practice, and then there are some things that take place on the field. And the things that happen on the field is where you start to see momentum take place. Momentum can take you further than even your skills can. But a lot of that momentum has gotten started by the unity, the encouragement that is built up in practices. Okay, so number one, you have to be unified, and that unity takes place in practice, not on the field. Then you win games by having an adversary, by adversity. You step on that field and you realize that the only way you know how good you are is if at the end of the game those points are bigger than the other people's points. It doesn't matter how good you get at your throwing ability. Can your throwing ability defeat the defense that's in front of you? And then lastly is the idea of diversity. Diversity means the better you get at more things. When you start to develop a team, and again, whether that's football, basketball, but it could also be an office, it could be a classroom, it could be workers on a log crew. It could be workers at a McDonald's. Wherever it is that you work, when you're working on a team, the three things you desperately need. Number one is you need unity. You need to know that you're on the same page. You need to take the time to educate on the regular. The second thing you need to do is you need a common enemy. You need an adversary. So like if you're in the classroom, what's the adversary there? Well, ADD is a good adversary. You need to do what you can to keep as much attention for the length of time that you can so that these kids can be encouraged and learn more in the time period that they have with you. If you're in the logwoods, what's the adversary there? Breakdowns, the weather. What is in the way of you getting the most amount of production there? If you're working in McDonald's, their expectation is that you get a certain amount of food out at a certain amount of time. So the adversary, you're fighting the clock on that, all right? It's not about good food, it's about fast food. So you're fighting the clock. Everything you can do to create a competition, that's going to make you better. So you have unity, which is the pre-work. You have adversity, which helps you in the competition. And then lastly, you need diversity. You need different people who are good at different things, people who are strong. Every business needs somebody who's good at customer service, but not everybody needs to be good at customer service. People who are good at customer service are often not good at production or sales. You need salespeople, you need production, you need customer service. You need to diversify your team. If everybody on your football team is running backs, nobody's going to be blocking, nobody's going to be catching, nobody's going to be throwing, nobody's going to be defending. You need a diversity of talent on your team. And the only way you can keep a diversity of opinions together is A, if you have enough strength in leadership, and B, you have a clarity and understanding of where you're going. That's why unity, adversity, and diversity are powerful things to have. And it also is the same picture that you have in identity, destiny, and legacy. Identity, do the pre-work. Find out who you are. Decide what is your mission and vision in life. Decide what your values are. Take time to figure out who you think you are. And then when you go out in the world, after you've read all your books and you've written all your papers down, when you get tested out in the real world, are you the person that you want to be? Are you the person that everyone needs when they need it the most? Do you find out that you're not good in emergency situations? Or maybe you stay super calm in emergency situations. It's when things are chill that you have a hard time. Hey, find out what you're good at, but you're not going to find it from the bench. You're not going to find it from the practice room. You're not going to find it from the video. You're going to find it in the game. When you go out and live high stakes, and then take time on the other side to gather the information to know how you can continue sharpening who you are. Be inspired, go and test it, go to work, and then after that, improve. You want to make things better on the back end. You want to become better, because when you become better, then you can help others. When you become better, you can help others. Find out who you are, go put it to the test because you've got what it takes, and then become better so you can help others. Another way of looking at those three things is, number one, when it comes to your identity, recognize as a son of the king or a child of the king, you have favor. You have favor. Begin to walk in the direction that you want to go because you have been favored by God Almighty. The second one is you have valor. You are a person of courage, a person of bravery. Because you're a person of destiny who was walking toward the problems and not away from them, toward your destiny and not in the opposite direction, toward the place that you want to accomplish your success, you're walking in that direction towards significance. Understand that that takes courage, and you are a person of courage who's going to make it up the hill. And the last thing is honor. If you want to have a legacy where you affect other people, you need to be a person who honors others. You give value to people. You show people, you consider people, you love people where they are, but more than that, you love them to where they're going. So as you pursue these three things, when you come to learning your identity, I want you to come and I want you to rest. Rest in knowing who you are. It's not all up to you. So rest, be still. The second thing I want you to do is when it comes to taking the field, taking the hill, taking the plan, going after your destiny, take heart. Be a person of courage and chase it with all that you have. Be tenacious, be diligent, be strong in the eye of your adversaries, but also in the eye of your competition, but also in the area of heading after your destiny. You are a person of destiny. Have courage. Take heart. And the last thing I would say to you is when it comes to people, understand that no present is better than your presence. Be with people. Being with people is the most important gift you can give. That's how you have a legacy. And a person who is focused on who they are, their identity, what they can accomplish, their destiny, and who they're going to leave it to, their legacy, that's a person everyone needs.